Thomas changed this country forever.
He said, get out of this car, I'll blow your brains out.
The images are vivid and evocative.
And the mob started to run toward me.
You're 19 years old. You don't understand there's a bunch of people who want to kill you.
At what point did you think we may die?
We had no thought of any kind of violence. Dr. King and other veterans of the civil rights movement tried to dissuade us from continuing the ride. I then knew that Anniston was a place where there was lots of Klan activity. But we were dreamers, and we were daring. So we rode into the eye of the tiger. We saw probably 30 or 40 men yelling and screaming, rejoicing that the bus had come. And the bus driver, I'm sure, fearing for his life, knew he needed to get off of that bus, and he opened the door and he said, fellas, listen, all I did was to drive the bus and I brought them to you. He fixed the door so as he closed it, it was locked, so they could not get onto the bus to get us, but they started breaking out the windows, and another bus driver, and I'm pretty sure he had to be convinced, came around the driver's side and I guess reached in the window and unlocked the door, then got aboard and closed the door right quick. And we did not know it at the time, but somebody had cut one of the tires. We only got a short distance when the tires went flat. The rest of the mob and the KKK started again breaking out the windows. And it was at that time that an incendiary device was thrown aboard the back of the bus. In a few seconds, the bus was on fire and it's filling up with smoke. If we got off of that bus, there was no doubt in my mind that we would have been killed. I'm like everyone else on the bus. I'm pretty afraid, okay? That's putting it mildly.
You're 19 years old. And for whatever reason, you don't understand there's a bunch of people surrounding the bus who want to kill you. You never met them, you never did any harm to them, but they want to kill you. And as the bus started to burn, I had to make a quick decision. I knew it would be just a minute before I was killed. If I stayed on the bus, I'd be overcome by the smoke, and that's how I would die.
Frankly, I decided at that point, to commit suicide. It was just a question of how I was going to die. I knew I was going to die. So I thought that if I breathed in the smoke, took a big deep breath of the smoke, it would put me to sleep, and that's the way I would die. The fire that had started in the rear ignited the fuel tank in the back of the bus. So I ran up to the front of the bus and I tried to open the door. Only thing I could hear is, let's burn them alive. At that moment, fuel tank exploded. And when it blew out, everybody scattered.
That was the only way that we were able to get out of that bus. And as we got out of the bus, all of us were suffering from smoke inhalation. We were falling on the ground just trying to get some fresh air and just trying to get some water.
A man came up to me, and I'm coughing and strangling. He said, boy, you all right? And I nodded my head, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. He had hit me with part of a baseball bat.
It was horrible. It was like a scene from hell. It was the worst suffering I'd ever heard. And I heard, water, please give me water. Oh God, I need water. I walked right out into the middle of that crowd. I picked me out one person. I washed her face. I held her. I gave her water to drink. And as soon as I thought she was gonna be okay, I got up and picked out somebody else.
Her name was Janie Forsyth at the time. Kept running in and out of her house, bringing us water. No one else did a thing. I thought about her and her bravery of all of the ugliness and all of the evils that took place on Anniston that day. This was the little angel. I will never, ever. The state trooper, I guess, after conferring with higher-ups, ordered the ambulance company to take us to the hospital. And I think it was there that Governor Patterson, after Attorney General Robert Kennedy and even the president had intervened, and the governor assured Attorney General that the Klan would not interfere and that the Highway Patrol would give us protection. And that's how we got out of Anniston. People were asking me, haven't you had enough? Are you crazy? No, I've got to see this thing through.
Hank, in your wildest dreams, what did you hope to accomplish 50 years ago when you got on that bus?
Well, we knew that eventually we would be successful, as people throughout history have been successful when fighting oppression.
The violence only empowered the Freedom Riders. Over the next 7 months, more than 400 others joined the cause, and it paid off.
When we look at where we are today versus where we were 55 years ago, no one can argue that the country today is much different. And the fact that I had a small part to play in it is tremendous to me. In the city of Anniston, I have been totally surprised at the kinds of changes that have occurred. Not only because the laws have been changed, but the hearts of people have been changed. And now a word about a young lady that I called the Angel of Anniston. And that's little Janie Forsyth. She was 12 years old. And she ran in and out of her house, bringing water to us. Look at her now. Stand up, Janie. Stand up. Let everybody see you. When the rest of the Christians wouldn't do anything to help us, Janie could only think of what she learned in Sunday school. In and out of her house she ran, bringing us water, giving us relief. Today I stand before you a man in full. The 1,000 dreams I dreamed, the splendid things I have planned. I've been to the mountaintop, and I've seen the promised land. I completed my course, and I kept the faith. And when they ask me, why is it that I was arrested 22 times, I'll simply say to them, I saw something wrong, and I've done something about it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stand among heroes. Join me in welcoming 178 survivors of the 1961 Freedom Rides.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep your eyes on the prize. We shall overcome.
You've been trying to infiltrate the Klan, but what does that do for people?
Well, I'll tell you what.
They are not human. There's nothing about these people that are human.
I don't give a about you or your KKK hood.
She felt I sold out my own ready.
It's not like a fetish.
How can you hate me when you don't even know me?